Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Foster the Meeple. My name is Zach and I'm going to walk you through a little painting project I took on. It's the conflict pawn from 7 Wonders Duel, and I noticed that one side of mine had a bit of a scratch in it. Might be a bit hard to see here, but I decided to really damage up this side to give the two different sides a bit of variation in their look. So I'm just scoring it with a knife, of course being careful not to cut my fingers. And here's the result. I'm going to mount it to a plastic base here so it's easier to paint. And I'm using some primer from Vallejo. It's Ghost Gray. And I'm going to just brush it on here, making sure to use an older brush that is not going to be a big loss if it gets damaged. Primers can be a bit more damaging to your brushes, so don't use your best brushes for your priming. Now, I'm very much still a novice painter, so I was pretty happy with the base coat here, and moving forward I'm going to be using all Army Painter Warpaints to complete the project. Now, I wanted to darken things up, so I took a bit of Necromancer Cloak and watered it down and applied it in a couple of light layers here, just so that my next few colors would have a darker base to sit on top of. Here we are literally watching paint dry. A little bit of a time lapse. I did get bored of waiting for this, trying to complete the project, so after this point I did use a hair dryer to kind of speed up the drying of the paint in between layers. Next, I decided to apply a layer of Dragon Red. I knew I wanted a dark, deep red here in the center of the shield. My improvised wet palette was a bit too wet, so I wasn't getting the coverage I wanted at first. So I applied my paint directly to just a plastic lid that was left over to get the consistency that I wanted here. These waves on the outside border of the shield were one of the things I was feeling a little bit worried about. I did decide to just kind of be a bit sloppy at this stage and clean it up later. I just wanted to get that white coverage on there. So the other thing is, the way I was filming this with my phone as a camera with an improvised mount, it was very awkward to paint and I couldn't really get up close to see those details. So my solution was, let's just get the paint on there and we'll clean it up later. And I wasn't overly thrilled with how it looked at this point when I started putting on some of the weapon bronze for the center of the shield. I decided to use the same weapon bronze on the guard and pommel of the sword because, come on, who doesn't like a little bit of shininess in their minis? And at this point, I do have a little bit that I skipped showing here, but I end up using some combination of gunmetal and plate mail for the sword and the outer border, and on the very border of the shield, more weapon bronze with leather brown on the grips. At this point, I'm still feeling a little okay with it. I used some crystal blue on the inner circle there, and at this point I'm thinking, well, I'm just gonna throw some wash on here to kind of bring it to the next step. So I use some strong tone all over the mini. Due to the way I was filming, I went in without filming to add in some of the cleanup work with a small brush here, and I decided to try a marble base. So that's just really light layers of thinned out gray paint, and then at the top I used some dark stone, very thin to go over, and then did a thinned out white wash of matte white over top of that to kind of blend everything in, smooth it out. And based off where I was in the middle, ready to give up, I think it turned out great. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more on Foster the Meeple.